How's it going, YouTube? Another day, another problem. So on this side over here, this is actually my 6-unit apartment building. I bought this mid last year, beginning of last year, whatever it was. This is by far the best building I've ever, or best unit I've ever had, and I love it. So if you take a look, this is actually the parking lot. It looks like the city is maybe working on one of the alleys over here, but this is actually my parking lot here. And this is the building. This is actually the back side of it. Got cameras up here. I've got cameras on the sides, on both sides. And then there's 3 entrances on this side and 3 entrances on the other. 2 of the entrances are to the downstairs units, 1's to the top. Same layout on the other side. What I have going on here is a little unexpected, but I have great tenants. I've had really good luck with this property, having awesome tenants. And I'm not going to show you too much of the inside of this apartment, but it comes down to being a slumlord. There's, every area has, its good areas and its bad areas in town. I live in a pretty good, or this apartment building is located in a pretty good spot. It's central. It's right across the street from 2 hospitals. So, I really lucked out there in terms of the quality of the building. But again, the reputation of landlords sometimes goes against us. So I'm always afraid when something happens that somebody's going to kind of lose it on me. But today wasn't the case. So I'm on my way to St. Louis. My wife and I are going there for something, and we were going to come right back, which is about a 2.5-hour drive. And I get a message this morning. It said, sorry to bother you. This is one of my tenants. The ceiling just fell. What? Followed by a picture. The data must have been a little slow. The picture came right afterwards. And there is a human-sized chunk of plaster that has fallen out of the ceiling. Let me show you that right now. And for her privacy, I'm not going to go around showing you this unit, but as you can tell, that's not cool. So, again, this is her place. I'm not going to show you any more than this, but that's never a fun thing to find. And it looked straight out of the movies to me, something you'd see in New York City. As you can tell with those slats and everything, this is an old building. So the funny thing is, that unit I just got done redoing, one thing I did not touch was the ceiling. So it never fails. Whatever you don't touch is what's going to break or get damaged. So I actually redid the floors, redid the kitchen, redid the bathroom. So there's tile, new vinyl plank flooring, paint on all the walls, the trim's all polished up. As you can see with that wood trim in there, that's original to the place. This is a late 1800s building, but take a look at this. We'll go out to the front. This is a solid building. I don't think I'll ever really want to sell it, but when I do, I'm not giving it away. I take a lot of pride in this building. And I think that comes with being a good landlord, and that's kind of the point I'm getting to. This is the outside of the building, and like I said, it's right across the street from one of the medical groups, and then down the road over there is actually one of our major hospitals. So to my point, this girl apologized to me for bothering me, when I'm sure any of you guys who have tenants may have had that experience, or you've had the, I cannot believe I live in this kind of conditions, blah blah blah. I'm going to report you. You could have a terrible experience. This is a very understanding tenant. There was no sign other than a small crack that was up in that corner before. And then I'm going to guess between the hot and cold temperature changes we've had lately, and I know there's a kid that lives upstairs, so maybe some running back and forth, and plaster just being very heavy. And that's probably the original plaster to this late 1800s building, or early 1900s building. Like, it probably just finally gave way. So here's the deal. I could have been one of those tenants, and or those landlords, and I know some of them, who would just walk over and be like, oh, well, we'll clean this up right here, and we'll take care of it once you move out. That's not cool. This tenant has never done anything to me negatively. She pays her bills on time, and she pays my rent for this unit 3 days ahead of time, like clockwork. So why would I, as a landlord, not return that favor? And that's what I'm stressing to you guys. If you want to get quality tenants and have a quality reputation, as you know, with my dumpster business, my reputation is all I have. And I'm sorry for all the noise in the background, but my reputation is all I have. That's all there is to it. So once you burn your name, and especially in a small town, you've really might as well move. That's all I gotta say. But I care about my reputation so much that I told my wife as soon as we get back, I'm calling a contractor. I actually then called a contractor that uses me for dumpster services probably once every 3 months. So why would I not call him to take a look at this? And first off, I thought he's only gonna be able to drywall this. This can be a patch job. This can be a problem. Turns out, no, his company specializes in plaster too. So he said, well, I'll give you two options. We can drywall the whole ceiling, not just patch it, or we can just plaster the section and repaint it. And I'm thinking to myself, man, best of both worlds. I can find out, which one is more appropriate, and I'll talk to my tenant to see, hey, this is gonna take X amount of days. It's gonna create this much dust. Work with your tenants. Your tenants don't work for you. They're paying you. So really at the end of the day, you work for your tenants to provide them a good place to live and a quality place to live. Because the last thing I want to do is be one of those landlords that runs their properties into the ground. And I know there's strategy to this, but again, destroys the reputation, where they're running their property into the ground, collecting rent on it, and then selling it when they want to get out. If I'm going to sell my property, I want to sell a quality piece of property when the time comes. And that time is not now. But again, you work for your tenants, they don't work for you. They're paying you for a quality place to live. And if you provide them that, they will give you the respect, or they should at least give you the respect you deserve. And I know you can give and give and give, and sometimes you'll have a tenant that is not so understanding or as gracious. But I encourage you guys, 2022, just work as hard as you can. And when you do, if you're getting into this rental space, be on top of these things, take care of your tenants, and then you can charge those higher rents. If you provide a quality place to live, you can charge quality prices for your rents. Can you imagine walking into a place like this and it's got a huge patch job up top, or you walk in and you're the person's friend and you see a huge hole in their ceiling and they say, yeah, my landlord hasn't taken care of this in weeks, or worse, you watch those documentaries where water's pouring out of that hole in the ceiling. Like, I do not want my name attached to that kind of stuff, and I really applaud you guys in this day and age if you don't either, and I encourage you not to ever get to that point. Even if you end up with 200, 500, 600 units, don't become a slumlord, please. Become a quality lord. I don't know what you want to call it. So I'm almost embarrassed that is up there. That's how much it bothers me. It feels straight out of a movie. So again, in less than 2-3 hours, I guess 4 hours, I had a contractor here. He's getting me a bid tonight, and we're gonna get taken care of this week because I just can't stand it. So again, this is kind of what I wanted to show you guys in terms of landlord is not that great, always. I got 6 units here. This place has been really good to me, but you come up with problems and don't procrastinate on those problems. Take care of them right away, and then down the road, your tenants will recommend you. They'll, say that, he was a great landlord. He never did anything wrong. He never took advantage of me. He always took care of me. It pays out in the end. I promise. So best of luck to you guys that want to get into this space. Like I said, I love this building. I hugely encourage anybody that wants to get into the space to always look at multifamily homes because the foundation rule. Because as an example, this is probably going to cost me, a little bit of money to take care of. So if I only had one unit, like a single family home, and I bought that unit and this happened, and let's say it costs $800 to get taken care of, or $1,000. I really don't know what it's going to be. I pay that money to the contractor, but the tenant only pays me $900 a month. I just lost out on an entire month's rent at least, and there's more to it than just rent. You're paying insurance, you're paying your mortgage, all that on top of it. But if you have multiple units, your other units are, distributing that burden when these types of things come up. Because, next month it might be a water heater, it might be a heater, especially in these cold months. Expect those things to possibly happen. So when they don't, it's awesome because you're collecting, but you do have expenses, and it's way easier to burden those expenses when you have multiple units. So I'm trying to do this. Try to think bigger. When you think bigger and you achieve bigger, I promise your problems are much smaller. I used to freak out on it when I had my single family home or my duplex and something would go wrong because I knew that I was just losing money. But the bigger I get, the smaller my problems are. And when I say bigger, I have a 6 unit. Imagine the guys who have 30 units in one space. Their problems are so small when things happen. So really think about, in 2022, just think bigger. Take care of these issues a lot easier when you know you don't have to rely on that income as tightly. So again, if you also want to get into this space, like I told you, I'm a mortgage lender. I would highly recommend looking into doing a house hack. A house hack allows you to live in one unit and rent out the other on multifamily homes. That's anywhere from 2 to 4 units. You can get an FHA loan. This is how I started. I got an FHA loan, 3.5% down. That's how much I paid on my first property. 3.5% was all I had to bring to the table. I made the seller pay closing costs, which is a big chunk, and I brought 3.5%, and I lived in one side and I rented the other. The other side that I rented for more than my mortgage was. So right away I was living for free, and anything else outside of that went into my pocket. A year later, I moved out. I rented that space. I moved 100 miles away because my wife was starting a job, and I did it again because the FHA clause says that if you move over 100 miles away, you can actually do another FHA loan, and I can do another multifamily under 4 units, 4 units or under. And so I did it again. I got another duplex in a different part of the state where we moved, and that's how I basically got my first two rental properties started. And from there, I just kept building it. So keep these things in mind, guys. Start thinking a little bit bigger. Start taking a couple more risks. But while you're doing it, think about your reputation. That's the best advice I can give today. Have a good one. Like, subscribe, follow. I hope to see you on future videos. Thanks again.